Once upon a time in a kingdom not too far away, there lived a vain and wicked queen. Now, this queen had married a king and everything was going well until she discovered that he had 7 children from his previous marriage. 6 strong and healthy boys and 1 beautiful girl. The queen didn't want stepchildren running around the castle, disrupting her precious peace. So she came up with an evil plan. She went to the marketplace and bought some fine white cloth and sewed 6 very fancy shirts. Then one day, when the 6 princes were playing outside, she tossed the shirts over the fence and they got all excited because, oh my, such beautiful shirts! They started pulling and tugging at each other to see who would get one. But before any of them could put the shirt on, their stepsister stood in front of them and said, "Don't be greedy, we have to share." However, no sooner had she uttered these words than the shirts began to shrink and tighten around their bodies like iron bands. And then, just like that, they vanished into thin air, leaving behind only 7 sad little birds that fluttered away into the sky. The queen had used her magic to turn the princes into swans, and she had done it to protect them from the evil witch that wanted to marry them. And the only way to break the spell is if they are sewn up in shirts made out of a stinging nettle plant. But doing that would mean that she wouldn't be able to speak for 6 whole years. That seemed like an eternity to her. But she wasn't about to let her stepsister ruin her life, so she accepted the challenge. And without telling anyone what she was up to, she gathered stinging nettles and began sewing. Day after day, she worked tirelessly on shirts for her brothers, even though her fingers bled and the thorns tore at her arms and back. Finally, after 6 long years of hard work, the shirts were ready. She ran as fast as she could towards the lake where her brothers had turned into swans, and waited patiently for her to make them new shirts. As she approached the lake, all 7 swans rose into the air and flew towards her. With a flick of her wrist, she sprinkled them with water from the magic wishing fountain, and poof, they were back to being handsome princes once again. They were overjoyed to be human again and thanked their dear sister for freeing them. However, she didn't say a word during the entire encounter. Instead, she signaled to them that she could unspeak for 6 years because of the spell she had broken. Realizing how selfless and loving she had been, the princes embraced her and promised to take care of her always. But while they were hugging and kissing their sister, she noticed that something was missing. There was 1 less prince than there should have been. Confused, she asked them where their youngest brother was. Hadn't she made 7 shirts? Yes, they confirmed, but also explained that they were 7 princes born to a king. But they became 8 when a beggar woman arrived at the palace claiming to be their sister. Since no one else in the kingdom knew about her existence, they welcomed her and raised her as their own, for they knew deep down that blood ties run deeper than any curse or enchantment. And so the reunion between the long-lost siblings was filled with joy and happiness. They all returned to the castle together and threw a huge party in celebration. The princess, who had saved them all from the clutches of the evil queen, was crowned as the new queen. Everyone in attendance cheered and celebrated their good fortune, because now they had 2 queens instead of 1. What a lucky break! Now, even though the young princess had managed to break the curse on her stepbrothers, she still hadn't regained her voice. In fact, no one in the kingdom had seen or heard her speak since she broke the curse on those 7 poor swans. One day, a traveling wizard happened to pass through town. He was renowned for his vast knowledge of spells and his ability to heal people from all sorts of ailments, including those caused by dark magic. So the people decided to invite him to the palace and ask him for help. When he learned about the princess's plight, the old wizard offered to perform a special ceremony that might just help her regain her voice. However, it was dangerous and unpredictable, and he warned them that there was a chance it could kill her. Still, everyone agreed, hoping against hope that their beloved princess would be all right. The next day, the entire court gathered in the throne room to watch the ceremony. The wizard waved his magic wand over the princess and chanted strange words that echoed throughout the hall. Suddenly, a blinding light filled the room, and when it faded away, the princess was gone. In her place was an exquisite golden bird with sparkling wings and feathers that shimmered like 1,000 stars. Astonished, the wizard stopped his chant immediately, and everyone gasped at the sight before them. As the courtiers stared in disbelief, the bird spread its wings and took flight, soaring high above their heads until it disappeared through an open window. The wizard was deeply disappointed. He had never encountered such a baffling situation. Breaking a curse was one thing, but transforming someone into a bird was quite another. It was clear that the bird was intelligent and had probably flown off to some distant land. All they could do now was wait and hope that it would return safely. After many months, a beautiful golden bird was spotted flying around the lake near the castle. People came from far and wide to catch a glimpse of the majestic creature, but it was always just out of their reach, gliding effortlessly through the air. Then one day, the bird landed on a nearby tree and a young man who was hiding nearby crept closer to get a better look. Suddenly, the bird transformed right before his eyes into a stunning princess. She was so beautiful that the young man couldn't take his eyes off her. But suddenly, she vanished, leaving behind only a golden feather as proof that what he had seen was real. Determined to find out more, the young man went straight to the castle and told everyone what had happened. Hearing this, the king and queen became very worried because they knew that the bird was their daughter. But before they could do anything about it, she appeared before them and explained that she was unhurt and had no intention of returning to her old life. Instead, she wanted to live freely as a bird. Her parents were heartbroken but understood that they couldn't force her to stay, so they gave her a crown and scepter and declared her the new queen of the golden birds. They also told her that if she ever changed her mind, she would always be welcome back home. And with that, the three of them were reunited once again. This time, the princess stayed with them. After all, how could she leave her parents behind? Then came the day when the princess felt like talking again. She looked at her parents and told them everything. The king and queen were so happy to hear their daughter's voice again that they threw a huge party in her honor. All the animals in the forest came to celebrate, including the wise old owl, the cunning fox, the playful squirrels, and the majestic stag. And to show their gratitude, the animals gave the princess a beautiful golden ring as a gift. From that day on, the princess ruled wisely and fairly, always remembering the valuable lessons she had learned from her experience. Even though she had been cursed to become a swan, she had never lost hope and had worked hard to free her stepbrothers. And by doing so, she had found true happiness for herself. So remember, no matter how difficult things may seem, never lose hope and keep trying to make the world a better place for all living things. That's all for today. See you next time.